pilot of the Typhoon in the picture is circling around to jettison his petrol, being unable to lower his undercarriage. The Gen was lucky enough to have a cameraman present to film this remarkable exclusive picture. In a moment you will see the machine make a perfect belly landing. The pilot calmly discusses his ordeal with other members of his squadron. The Mustang is in the news again. This machine gained fame as a locomotive buster and was one of the originators of intruder patrols. It is also the only Allied fighter to have penetrated the land of the Third Reich. Fast and maneuverable, the Mustang is now being modified for use as a dive bomber. This is what an intruder plane looks like at the receiving end. Men of a crack African squadron await below to fly the aircraft straight to the field of operations, wherever they are most needed. And so ends another story, in which Gibraltar proves again the vital part she is playing in the war against bestiality. From all the newly acquired aerodromes in North Africa, every available Allied bomber takes to the skies. Their mission, Pantelleria. For 1 month this island was subjected to terrific bombardment. But on June the 11th, the signal for surrender was observed, and the first soil of Italy collapsed before the victorious Allies in a spirit of unconditional surrender. The result can be said to be a major victory for the RAF. At the moment, however, before experts have examined the technical problems involved in scientific air bombing of ground batteries, it is probably unwise to assume that the reduction of strongly defended enemy coast by air and sea action is a comparatively easy matter. The speedy surrender of the island suggests the poor quality of the Italian troops left there, together with a water situation which was steadily worsening. It may well be that Pantelleria would have been a very much tougher proposition under German defense. However, be that as it may, the island is in our hands, and its importance to us as a key point for future operations in the Mediterranean cannot be overemphasized. The question whether air bombardment alone can compel surrender remains to be seen. Many times during the war, tribute has been paid by neutral observers to the accuracy of British bombs. Here in Tunis, which had been visited so many times, the truth of those statements became visible to the eye. As we fly over the main aerodrome, the bomb damage is clearly visible amongst wrecked enemy aircraft. Nearby, however, houses are intact. Row after row of buildings stand untouched in the town. Then we come to the docks. Here nothing but devastation remains. To the bomber boys out there, we are indeed grateful, for not only have they contributed much to the winning of the Battle of Tunis, but they have also confirmed the fairness of our way of life. German Me-109s fly over the Romanian oil fields of Ploiești. These pictures are shown to you exactly as they were shown to the German public. After the expulsion of the Nazis by the Russians in the Caucasus, these oil fields became vital to the German war machine. For without them, they would have to rely solely on their factories producing synthetic petrol. And those factories within range have already suffered severely at the hands of Bomber Command. The output from these Romanian refineries has been considerably increased since the German penetration into that country. But now, as the RAF slowly creeps nearer to Europe, the Luftwaffe is stretched still further to cover an area that becomes for us the target for tomorrow. It's an early morning in the Western Desert. Any morning, in fact, in the last months of 1942. Vic Squadron was a small unit in the great force which pursued Rommel across the wastes of Libya. and is camped somewhere between El Alamein and Tripoli before the collapse of the Axis forces in Africa. As the blazing desert day begins, ground crews strip off the camouflage covers which hide the tank-busting hurricanes. The squadron has been moving forward for weeks now, a day or two here, and then on to a new place just like this, but nearer to Tripoli. The ground crews are always busy when the aircraft are not flying. They can only relax when the kites are away, and that can be a pretty anxious time too. This morning, as usual, there is plenty of work to do on the Hurricanes. There's wonderful all-purpose machines. The Hurricane started life as a fighter, and with the Spitfires, damaged the enemy mightily in the Battle of Britain. There are many modified fighter versions. Then came the Harrier bombers, and now a new and formidable type, the Hurricane 2D, the tank buster. It is armored with two 40mm cannons slung under the main planes. These, the largest bore weapons yet fitted on any flying aircraft, weigh only 320 pounds. They fire 2.5-pound shells, and the aircraft also carries two .303 machine guns, a devastating total of firepower. The Hurricane 2D is part of our answer to the German tank warfare technique, and a pretty sound answer too. We've got plenty more tricks like this in store, just waiting till they're wanted. Quite a lot of any man's time in war is spent waiting. Waiting until he's wanted. Waiting to go into action. The pilots rush out to the machines. Engines burst into life. Chucks away. The can openers have a job to do, which won't wait. They taxi out. Roar across the sand into the sky. Most of the tank busters' pilots are old desert campaigners, for their aircraft were first in action in June 1942 after months of experimental work. In the first day of the Alamein offensive, they accounted for 19 enemy tanks, and during all the long triumphant pursuit, they have been doing brilliant work. Their job calls for skill and courage of a high order. Low over the desert they fly, low over the mechanized columns of our advancing army. Soon they have to climb to a great height to cross the dead ground between us and the enemy. Target below. The Hurricanes peel off and swoop down to the attack. The German tank is blazing now, finished, knocked clean out of the war by the tremendous power of fire from the tank busters' cannons. The job has been well done. And so the flight reforms and heads for home, for the little camp, which wherever it may be, is the center of the squadron's life.